Finally, the time I've been waiting for. It's time to talk about Wicked. I am the biggest Wicked fan. Clearly, look at this. You don't do this if you're casual. So I've been hyped about this film for a while, evidently. And I was a bit nervous going into it. I'm not going to lie. If this film wasn't good, I was thinking, and I was like, y'all are never going to hear the end of it from me. Like, I will not stop talking about how bad it is if that's what it ends up doing, because I love Wicked. I love the musical. I love the book. So, yes. So, how was it? Will you never hear the end of it from me? Was it? How did we do? How did we do? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Amanda, or you might know me as Vamp. I just got back from seeing Wicked. I will say, if you guys notice this side of my face, wait, is it this side of my face? This side of my face. This is the side where all the tears fell. So this side is a little patchy. I had to patch it back up before filming this. But yes, we're here to talk about Wicked, finally. This will be a spoiler-filled review, so just a heads up about that. And I will give you a little bit of a synopsis to start. It's not super spoilery, though. But basically the synopsis, if you don't know Wicked, here's what Wicked is. Wicked is the origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West, who is named Elphaba here. And it is basically her untold story. This is a musical film, which is based on the musical play of the same name, Wicked. Wicked itself, the musical on the stage, was based on a book that is also called Wicked, and the Wicked book is by Gregory Maguire. It obviously takes inspiration from The Wizard of Oz, but it's not in the same world exactly as The Wizard of Oz. It's inspired by, so it's doing its own thing. So I think a lot of people have seen the trailer for Wicked and may not know the history of it, so that's why I kind of want to tell you a little bit about it here in the synopsis, just because, yeah, that's the origin of it. So it is inspired by Wizard of Oz stuff, but it is its own thing. So what happens in it, like I said, it's centered around Elphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West, and her origin story, how she kind of rises to power. And a core part of the musical is it's based around her relationship with another character who is known as Galinda, who later on becomes Galinda the Good Witch. So that's basically what it's about. There's some other Oz stuff, but that's the main points. This is Wicked Part 1. So Wicked Part 1 is also the first half of the stage show. It is our Act 1, and then we would have our intermission and we would come back for Act 2. We might be waiting a while for Act 2 in this case. Part 2 as it stands. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But let's start off with the music first, because the music was so good in this, guys. Like, I need to talk to you about the music. I wish I could sing to you about the music. I would sing you all I was literally mouthing the words to all these songs, holding myself back from singing along, because I love the music from this show so much. And thank goodness the movie musical did it justice. Yeah. I love when that happens. I love when a movie musical just adapts the music in the best way. And it's not all the same. They did add some of they did their own little versions of it. I mean, what I do really appreciate about both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo in this is I appreciate that they each brought their own pizzazz to the vocals for their characters. So we changed things up a little bit, but not in a way that takes away from the musical. It's not ever going so off track that it becomes something completely different. It just freshens it up a bit, and in ways adds to it, I think, in a lot of good ways. A couple of my favorite songs, almost all of the songs actually that happen are my favorites. We'll start with No One Mourns the Wicked. I really loved this song. This is our opening number. It's also the song that we come back to at the end of the musical. Spoilers, but that is in the stage show, so I don't feel bad saying that. But it's basically like our overture. This is a song. You'll also hear it creep in every now and then as well, because the whole idea of No One Mourns the Wicked is that this is the song that is telling us the story of the show. So it is starting with a flashback that we get from Glinda, who tells us about when she knew Elphaba and their relationship. And through that, we get the story of Elphaba, which is the musical. So it's all a flashback, really. It's one long flashback. But the thing that I really loved about No One Mourns the Wicked is it really establishes the tone, and it established just how immersive this film was going to be set in this world. There are these big wide shots we get of the landscape, which are beautiful. There's also a lot that we can enjoy on a smaller scale, just in terms of these villagers, their reactions to the Wicked Witch being dead, and also the really emotional moments of this song for Glinda, as we don't yet know her relationship to Elphaba at this point, but as you find out through the story, as someone that already knows the story, it was very emotional for me because I could see that history of her and Elphaba and their friendship is really reflected in that opening number. So when you go back and watch it, if this was your first experience with Wicked, look out for those moments because they're really there. And I loved just that detail and that consideration for, while Galinda's putting on a happy face, inside, she's super sad that this is how everything had to go down. So that is something that I really love about No One Mourns the Wicked. It's both big, it's both small, the scale of it, and just getting to see it from the perspective of being in the world. A lot of what makes this film great, actually, is that element, being in the world. The fact that because it's a movie, we don't have to imagine things like we do a stage show, which is really cool. There's also Dancing Through Life is another number that I really loved. I think that number is really fun. It is just so contagious. I mean, it really does make me want to dance when I hear Dancing Through Life. And the vocals that we have from Fiyero here are straight fire. Also, the fact that we have that rotating bookcases, the rotating bookcases is just such a cool element that they intertwine into the choreo of the song. This one probably has like some of my favorite choreo, to be honest with you. Although I gotta be honest, Popular is is really competing with it because Ariana Grande as Glinda really goes off in that song, and it is amazing. Or as Galinda, she's Galinda at that point. Also, if you hear me go back and forth between Galinda and Glinda, there is a name change that happens in the movie. Galinda drops the ga, so that's a whole plot point. So I'm not just saying it wrong. If you're not familiar with this, those that are familiar, you know what I'm talking about. I also really love The Wizard and I. This was a song that just brought this sense of whimsy to it, and really Elphaba discovering that for once in her life, things feel possible. I think they really highlighted that in a beautiful way. I love the playful nature that we get to see of Elphaba here. It's really establishing her as this very vulnerable and sentimental character. Like, she puts on this hard exterior, but this is where we get to see some of the softness of the character. And I think Cynthia did a really good job of letting that show. And also the vocals in this song and the big moment at the end where she's running out through the field. It's just visually also just a stunning number. We've also, of course, got Defying Gravity, which is the final number in the film. And they went big. They went big with Defying Gravity. I think that's all I really need to say about it. They did it in a big way, which is how that number should be done. So I really appreciated that. And it felt very natural. A lot of the times when they get into these numbers, I know when the numbers are supposed to come, but it felt very organic the way they always set up the songs and kind of go into them. As a musical should feel. That's how musicals should feel. These songs are coming from a very emotional place. So once we're there, songs just happen. Songs just happen. And that's something that they really nailed with this film. Actually, I should say the huge shout out to John M. Chu as director for the movie, because this is the way that this was all done is fantastic. However, this is a film that also doesn't have my favorite song in Wicked because it is split up into two parts. My favorite song will actually be in Act 2. Feel free to see if you can guess what it is down in the comments if you're familiar with the musical. I won't tell you now. We'll wait till Act 2 because I don't want to spoil that for anyone that might not know what's coming up. I already did enough by saying No One Mourns the Wicked is the overture, but you know, it is. So how does splitting up the film work? Did I like it? Did I not like it? Ultimately, I would say I understand why they chose to do it because Defying Gravity is a really big number. And I feel like to have it and then continue the story can be a bit much. We really do need that break. And obviously the break in the theater comes in the form of an intermission. This is where we'd have our intermission. Like I said, it's going to be a longer intermission than I would have liked, I think. I would love if we could just come back in 15 minutes and watch the second part because I'm ready for it. Normally when I'm at the theater and I have an intermission, I go and have a Haagen-Dazs bar and then the intermission is done and it's time to continue the show. And it's the perfect intermission for me. But I think I'm going to be having, if I'm waiting for part 2, I wonder how many Haagen-Dazs bars I will have in that time between the two. Probably more than one. It might be a minute, but it's worth the wait. And I do think it makes sense as well because they did add some stuff here. They padded it. They didn't stretch anything really, I feel, but they just padded it with more stuff to enhance the cinema and add to the cinematic experience. It's like little flourishes, and they added some stuff that was a little bit more Wizard of Oz connected. I believe the poppies in the classroom putting everyone to sleep that Elphaba creates. I don't know. I don't think that's what happens in the musical. It's been a while since I've seen the stage show, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on these things, but I believe in the musical she freezes everyone with their powers instead. And they also added the yellow brick road. I don't think that's in the musical with the wizard asking them, you know, what color do you think this road should be? So there were little things they added, and some of them worked better than others, but overall I feel like it did work in general. The cinematography in this is also flawless. Can we just talk about the cinematography? Right out the gate, the opening, I was like, what is happening with this cinematography? The cinematography is going off. It is majestic. I started crying immediately as soon as this movie started because it was so freaking beautiful. A lot of that is the way the shots are lined up. The way everything is shot in this is just stunning. But it also has to do with knowing how to match the shots to the tone, the emotion of the moment. That's what really heightens the cinematography here. It's very intertwined with what we're seeing and what we're feeling on the screen, especially when it comes to the scenes between our characters. The dance scene at Ozdust especially is just beautifully shot and beautifully acted, and it's flawless when Elphaba comes in and she understands that this was all now a prank and everyone's laughing at her and she just chooses to dance. And when Galinda, man, it makes me emotional just thinking about it. When Galinda comes up and decides to dance with her because she feels bad because Elphaba spoke up for her, and they dance together and she wipes away Elphaba's tear. The way that's all shot in these close-ups and mid-shots, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And the way that they change the depth perception as well, a lot of the times in this movie, there's a lot of stuff where like hands come towards you and our focus changes, stuff like that I just loved and thought was, I don't know, beautifully done. It really just creates a sense of movement as well within the cinematography, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I also love the way that the flashback in No One Mourns the Wicked was shot. It took me into the flashback so well. I was so fully immersed that when we came back out and I was reminded that we're still in a musical number, I was like, oh yeah, this is all part of the musical number. I was so invested. I was so invested. That was all so well shot and well performed. Very well done. But it doesn't end with cinematography in terms of the visuals in this. We also have to shout out the costume designs. Every time Elphaba changed, I wanted that outfit. The glasses. I love the glasses. I love that she was wearing them at the premiere. The glasses are fire. I need a pair of Elphaba's glasses. I need so many things from this movie. There better be people making stuff, selling things, merch. I need it all. Also, I love the fact that Galinda's always in pink. She's never in uniform, but she's always in something that's like a pink-inspired version of the uniform. The fact that that is a thing, perfect. Perfection. But even just every character that's in a background, like everything is really done up to the nines. Every little detail, every little element of this, they really focused on it and nailed it. The sets, especially. I mean, I really love, especially Shiz, because I found Shiz to be one of the hardest places to imagine in my mind based on the stage show. And they just created a whole place. Shiz has so much personality in this. It feels so rich. It feels so real. And I love that about the set designs as we go around Shiz. I mean, I think the highlight of the film, though, is really Elphaba and Galinda's relationship. Their relationship is at the core of the story, and the film understands the importance of that, and it doesn't shy away from that. It really gives everyone time to breathe, which is something that I feel like films sometimes struggle with today. Like, we have films that sometimes are also overlong, but it feels like nothing happened. This is a film where you really feel like each moment is given its time to breathe. Nothing is rushed. And so in that way, the fact that it's longer, I can understand. Also, like I said, they did add stuff, but it's not even just about adding stuff. It's just letting people have room to act and breathe and really explore a scene and explore these moments together. And I love that they didn't shy away from that and kept it the focus of the film. It's so strong. It's really about their friendship, and it's very moving to watch on screen. Speaking of Galinda and speaking of Elphaba, let's talk about them, okay? Because this is like killer performances. And I was obviously nervous. I mean, I love Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. I love the original cast. So I was nervous. But Ariana Grande destroyed as Galinda. She is something else in this movie. She's amazing. And I'd seen her act before and I thought she was fine. And obviously I know she can sing. So but I was a little nervous. Like, Galinda is a hard character to do. She is not easy, I would say, to act, you know? So I thought this might be a challenge for Ari, but she is a big Wicked fan. I did know this about her. I found it out through learning, you know, more about her as the casting was announced, and just that this is like a dream role for her, and she really brought that energy to it. She did it justice. She was doing Kristen Chenoweth. She was giving Kristen Chenoweth vibes. She wasn't doing exactly what Kristen Chenoweth does, but she was giving that, but then adding her own twist on it. And I just thought it was perfectly done. She didn't try to be Kristen Chenoweth, but she definitely took a lot of inspiration from her performance, which I think is wise because she has a great performance. So I saw the inspiration there and I loved it. But instantly, as soon as she came out in No One Mourns the Wicked, as soon as she came down in that bubble, I was like, okay, I feel good. All of my fears with Ariana Grande as Galinda have been put to rest. That's how instant it was. That's as soon as she nails it. Basically, as soon as she shows up, she's nailing it. Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba is also on another level. I mean, I can't wait to see Cynthia in more things. She is amazing. She is unparalleled when it comes to the emotion that she conveys, not even just through her vocals, just as an actor. She's nailing it in every aspect. I think as well, though, when it comes to her vocals are on another level. She is doing vocal acrobatics that I was like, wow. And these flourishes that making the music her own. There is one criticism I had in terms of that, in terms of a little bit of a change to some of the music, but we'll get to that later. But really what I also want to just nail home here is that her depiction of Elphaba is flawless. She clearly very much understands the character. And Elphaba, speaking of characters that are hard to play, Galinda is hard, Elphaba's harder, because Elphaba has to come in and be this stubborn, smart aleck, but you have to instantly love her. And we do that with Elphaba. Of course, that's also thanks to the flashback as well that we get with Nessa and Elphaba. So also shout outs to, you know, our children actors that are in this that also did a great job, I thought. But Cynthia really nails that perfect balance of being, you know, meek but bold, being this smart aleck, but one that we believe in and root for and we want to see her win. Just being this difficult character that you can't help but love and that you want to see her make it. You believe in her. The casting in general, though, for the film is amazing. It doesn't just stop at our main cast. Of course, it extends to all of the other characters that are in this. We have Galinda's entourage, who I loved. We obviously have the wizard, Jeff Goldblum. Perfect casting, I think. We have Madame Morrible, Michelle Yeoh, who I thought was also phenomenal. Phenomenal. That sounds like something that I would say in Wicked. She was phenomenal, though. She was amazing. I do have a little bit of a criticism for her as well, but we'll save that for my nitpicks. We've also got props. The props. You know a movie is good when I talk about props. I don't talk about props often, but when I do, you're on the track to being a great film, I would say. So the T-Wagon that we have from Professor Dillamond, I love that. Galinda's wand. I mean, the Grimmery. Can we talk about the Grimmery? The Grimmery design in this is insanely good. I love it so much. But it just shows that at no point did people not say, let's go 150%. Let's just go even more with it. The props across the board are so good. That's just a few of my favorites, but let me know if you have any favorite props from the film, because I really want to give props to the props department. They don't get enough props in filmmaking, and props, you're crushing it. You're always crushing it, but you're really crushing it in this film. So many practical effects too, and then so much I feel like refining with CG, but then also just full CG. And some of the full CG looks good, and some of the full CG, as we talked about in our reaction, not as sharp. But once again, this is like a nitpick. We'll get to nitpicks in a bit, but yeah, there are moments when it's weaker. We also got a surprise cameo. At least it was a surprise for me. Idina Menzel, Kristen Chenoweth in this. I don't know if people knew that was happening, but I didn't know that was happening. So for me, I was like, oh, in the theater, I was like, what? No way. I didn't even think they were going to be in it at all. And I loved what they did. And I loved that they got to acknowledge the characters, that they got to interact with Galinda and Elphaba. I thought that was so great and so sweet and just so perfect to see the passing of the torch there. I know there were people that were upset when this film was announced that Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth weren't going to be in it. And I mean, I understand. I love them as well as these characters, but it's been so long. I mean, I don't think we could have done this with them as the characters unless we were doing like an animated version or something like that. It's just it's time for them to play other characters, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that we brought in some new folks to play these characters. I think that they both did such a phenomenal job, and I just think it's great to bring something fresh to Wicked. Something fresh, but still very much in line with what Wicked is about. Ultimately, I think what I love about this film is that it really just nailed what it feels like to watch Wicked for the first time. When I saw Wicked, I saw it on the stage and it blew my mind. It's literally one of the reasons that I want to be an actor, that I am an actor. Want to be. I am an actor. I do that. I do that daily. But it was one of the things that really solidified that desire for me and created a sense of whimsy in the theater that I did not yet know existed. I had seen things that were whimsical before, but not on this level. So the magical element of the show really is captured, I think, beautifully in the film. And I really hope if this is people's first time that they also got that sense. I got that sense, but it wasn't my first time, but I still felt that magical edge that it has. So let me know in the comments if it was your first time, if it wasn't your first time, and what you think about that. Did you feel the magic? Did you not feel the magic? Why or why not? I'd love to discuss. So my nitpicks, let's talk about it, because clearly there was so much I liked, but these are a few things. Here we go. Cynthia. My one thing that I didn't love about Cynthia's performance, I didn't hate it, I just didn't love it, was in I'm Not That Girl. I feel like there is a little bit more vocal acrobatics happening than we get in the original version of that song. And I just feel like it takes a little bit away from the song, because I think having it be a little bit more simple vocally, I mean, none of these songs I would say are super simple vocally, but doing less sometimes does more, because I feel like it heightens and highlights more of the emotion. And I feel like sometimes when you do a little bit too much vocally, it can take away from that element of the performance. And with I'm Not That Girl, we also didn't do a lot visually with it either. So it felt like it was really just highlighting the vocals as opposed to just highlighting the emotion. I really got the emotion at the end of that song. And for me, that song is usually very emotional. Also, Madame Morrible singing was not amazing, but she does kind of do a talk sing thing in the show. So I'm curious to see how that goes when we get to part 2. But also, I don't know. I love Michelle Yeoh. I thought she did a great job as Madame Morrible. So this isn't me trying to say that her performance wasn't good. I think that she really is well cast. But the singing felt a little off to me, is what I will say. Like I said, these are nitpicks. They also added some bits. Some of it feels a bit excessive, like when they're running away from the wizard and Madame Morrible. I felt like the hallway of monkeys was perfect. And then when there was the whole thing with them trying to escape in the balloon, I was like, this is getting a bit much. Like I said, I haven't seen the stage show in a while, but as far as I recall, none of that happens. They're just in a broom closet. They have their chat. And then Elphaba goes out the window. And then, intermission happens. So some of that felt like a bit much. I liked, like I said, the flying monkey hallway, because that made it feel scary. They added an element of danger to it that felt more real. The search is on, but I felt they went a little too big with it. It didn't need to be quite as big. I got the danger from the hallway. You know what I mean? Elphaba's cape also just kept growing at the end, but I'm kind of fine with it because it was so epic. So this is a very small nitpick because I actually really like this one. But I'm sure I won't be the only person talking about how that cape grew. That day, Elphaba's cape grew 10 sizes. Her cape grew 10 sizes and she became the most wicked of witches. I also feel like we didn't really get a lot of the map of Oz, this is nitpicky, really. But in the stage show, it is an element where when you come in, you see the map of Oz, and then that goes away, and then the show starts. It's basically the covering of the stage, and it fades away, and then the curtain comes up, and the show starts. And the map of Oz is just a cool element visually when you're seeing the stage show that I thought maybe would be more featured here. And I only really thought about it when Duck was asking me about like the different areas of Oz. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess there was no map in this. The map is like actually a pretty big part in the stage show. They don't talk about it a lot or anything, but it just has a huge visual presence. But maybe we'll get that in Act 2 because the map is maybe more relevant in Act 2 when we're actually going around doing some more stuff in the world. That's basically all of my thoughts on this. I've already talked for too long. I love this show too much, clearly. I love this movie too much, clearly. I love this book too much, perhaps. The book is very different, though, I will tell you. If you like the musical, the book is a different vibe, but it's also very good. If you guys want to hear my thoughts more on the book, I would also be down to go back and read it, so let me know if you would like me to talk about the book more. I also just got Son of a Witch. I hadn't read the other books. I didn't know there were more books. So I'm reading Son of a Witch right now, and I'm interested to discuss more of that. And I love a book talk, you know me. I love a booktube. I'm a booktuber sometimes. I do that. Talk about books. I gotta talk on Dune. I'd love to talk about Wicked. And obviously I love the stage show. So, I mean, if you guys want to see more of that, let me know. I also might post some shorts where I sing. I do love to sing. This show makes me want to sing a bunch more. I just love it. I miss musicals. I need to be in a musical. They're so much fun. Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Overall, I would give this a 5 out of 5. It was flawless. It might end up being, it might end up being one of my favorite films of the year. I think it's going to be high on my list if it's not at the top. I need to review. I mean, honestly, this was a hard year for movies. There were some movies that were really bad. We got some really big stinkers. And then we have stuff like Wicked that's like, so good. Like, how can these things happen in the same year? Sometimes I wonder. The stinkers and the cream of the crop, the ones that rise to the top. I'm not intending to rhyme, but it just happened. Okay, well, I'm gonna go now because I just started rhyming, so I think that's where we gotta call it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know if you liked this, if you didn't like it, why not? Are you seeing it? Are you not seeing it? What'd you think of this review? What do you think of this face? Should I just be green for the rest of my life? Because I do love it. I had way too much fun painting my face, guys. There's also a live on here if you want to see it happen in real time. In real time. But that's all, and I've plugged enough things. So I hope you enjoy. See you next time. Until then, stay nerdy.